So into this video, we're going to be talking about these two cameras, the Leica D Lux8 versus the Ricoh GR3, and this one is the X model. So into this video, we're going to go through 10 features and compare them among each cameras, determine the differences, and help you decide which one of these two systems is the best one for you. So let's go. So let's start talking about topic number one, which is going to be the sensor size. And we're going to begin with the Ricoh GR3X. This little camera right here is going to sport an APS-C size sensor of 24 megapixels, a CMOS sensor. And you're not going to see very often APS-C sensors in these types of little bodies. The sensor that you're going to find in the Leica D Lux8 is going to be a Micro Four Thirds sensor with a resolution of 21 megapixels. However, because the lens crops into the sensor, you are going to have a total usable resolution of 17 megapixels. All right, so point number two, we're going to discuss lenses. And we're going to start with the one on the Ricoh GR3X or GR3. Now remember, Ricoh has two focal lengths to choose from. The one on the GR3 is going to be at 28 millimeters, and the one on the GR3X is going to be a 40 millimeter lens. Whether you choose the 28 or the 40 millimeters, these lenses are super sharp, and when paired with a 24 APS-C sensor, you honestly get remarkable images that are too good to be true. Now, one of the things that you see right here, since I'm talking about the lens, and I recommend you do put a UV filter to seal the lens. This lens has a lot of cavities, and when it opens and closes, it creates a suction. My 28 millimeter already has dust in the sensor, and this is the reason why I do this with all these point and shoot cameras, put a UV filter. The only thing is that this lens is going to be fixed. So you're going to have to commit to the 28 millimeter or the 40 millimeter forever. So we are going to discuss now the lens that we have on the D Lux. And as you see, this lens is completely extended to the 75 millimeters because this camera is going to feature a lens that can go from 24 to 75 millimeters, and it does it with an aperture of f1.8, and as soon as you start zooming in, it caps at f2.8. Point number three, let's talk about image stabilization for both systems. And the Ricoh GR3 system is going to have sensor shift image stabilization. Believe it or not, this little camera shifts the sensor to stabilize the image, and it works pretty well. So this is going to be actually great because it would allow you to drop your shutter speed in lower light situations, allowing you to still get very sharp images. Now, on the Leica D Lux8, what we have here is optical image stabilization, meaning that the stabilization is going to be on the lens. And while sensor shift image stabilization on paper, it's superior most of the time than optical image stabilization, I think that both systems stabilize the footage pretty well for what they are, and neither of them is going to be a rock solid image stabilization. Like, you won't be able to be running with this camera and pretend to stabilize your shot. So you still have to be careful when operating this camera, but at least we have some sort of image stabilization on both systems. And because this video has been sponsored by Lux8, let me show you the straps that you have seen in this video. On the Ricoh GR3X, the strap that you see right now is the point and shoot strap, and it features this very streamlined quick release system, which are different than what you used to, and at the same time very strong. And the good thing is that you could always remove them and opt for using a wrist strap instead, and that's something that I do a lot. Just switching to the loop strap, also by Lux8, and this one is a much more minimalist carry. And the one that you have seen on the Leica D Lux8 is the flat rope strap, which is a padded flat rope strap, super minimalist. Point number four, pocketability, and this is one of the reasons why these cameras are so popular. They offer a lot of bang for the size. Now let's talk about the Ricoh GR3 because this one is going to be the most pocketable of all the cameras that we're going to be discussing today. We're going to compare them side by side, and for demonstration, I have removed the grip that I had before. Now the Ricoh is smaller, also the lens protrudes a lot less. And it is safe to say that the Ricoh is going to be more of a camera that you can carry with no problem, in your jeans pocket. Now, the Leica D Lux8 is still small, and I have carried this camera in my pocket, but usually has to be on my jacket pocket or cargo pants or shorts or something like that. Something a little bit bigger, because the lens, of course, while it's small, it protrudes a lot more than the one on the Ricoh. So the Ricoh is gonna be smaller in length, smaller in height, and also in depth. All right, so point number 5, we're gonna be discussing the EVF. And this one is gonna be an easy one because the Leica D Lux8 is gonna be the only one with an EVF. And this EVF does the job pretty well. Now, if you wanna compose your shots with a Ricoh GR3 or GR3X, you're bound to be using the screen. And even though both screens are somewhat, bright screens, they are not gonna be bright enough, neither of them, for super bright situations. So having an EVF is that backup, framing solution that you have in those super bright situations. And I think that if you're also gonna be using a camera for a much more surgical and professional approach, having an EVF is going to be a plus. All right, so point number 6, let's talk about buttons, dial, and all that stuff. So when it comes to the approach of Leica and Ricoh, there are gonna be two complete different approaches. So for example, on the Leica, we have minimal buttons, and this is the very Leica experience, very minimalistic approach to photography, just a few dials, but also tons of flexibility without the need of clustering the camera with a bunch of buttons and dial. And I much prefer that, to be honest with you. Now, when we go to the Ricoh GR3, you are gonna find that we have buttons, dials, and sub buttons everywhere in the camera. This camera is swamped with buttons and dial, which it may be your cup of tea. You pretty much can do all the things that you could do here in a much simplistic approach. First of all, the menus are a breeze to navigate on the D Lux8, and also Leica allows you to configure the button to be different things. So one button can be, for instance, the video and photo selector, like right now, video, photo. But if I want this button to be the auto exposure lock, I could also assign that functionality to the button. And whenever I want this button to be back, photo and video, I can do that. So as you see, configuring the button is super simple. I don't have to dive into menus or anything like that. I much prefer this approach, but the choice is gonna be yours if you prefer a lot of dials everywhere and buttons, or if you want a much more simplistic approach. When I'm walking on the street, I want my camera to be turned on and act really fast. And I tend to turn on and off these cameras to conserve battery life. So for example, we're gonna do this test right now, and you're gonna see which one is gonna be the clear winner. 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, the Ricoh GR3 booted slightly faster, and that's because the Leica D Lux8 has a zoom lens, so the lens has to be extended completely, and then the camera is ready to shoot. Now, it's neither of the cameras are super fast, but the Ricoh is gonna have a slight advantage. All right, so let's talk about autofocus, and to sum it up, both cameras are gonna have a fair autofocus performance. None of them are gonna have an excellent autofocus performance if you're gonna be comparing this camera or something like Sony A1, for example. However, there is gonna be a camera out of these two cameras that's gonna have a mode that's gonna allow focus to be really, really fast, actually blazing fast. And that is going to be any of the Ricohs. There is this mode called Snap Focus, and pretty much what it is zone focus digitally. So you go in this menu, you select the distance that you want the camera to focus at, and pretty much every time you press the shutter, it's gonna snap that picture really quick. Now, by setting that distance, you never have to engage on those motors acquiring focus. The focus is going to be preset on that menu, and it is something that I wish the Leica would actually add, and it is something that I actually requested through the Leica app, because this one is my complementary street photography camera to my Leica M11 monochrome. All right, so let's talk about battery life, because in my opinion, there is a clear winner here, and that is going to be the Leica D Lux8. Now, take a look at the size of both batteries. The one on the Leica lasts me sometimes about a whole day of street photography, and definitely bringing 2 batteries does the job. Now, when I go out with a Ricoh GR3 or GR3X, I have to bring up sometimes 4 of these batteries, whereas sometimes 1 battery of the Leica D Lux8 actually performs throughout the whole day. So, and point number 10 is gonna be flash. Now, there's gonna be only one camera that is gonna come with an included flash, and that one is gonna be the D Lux8. Now, this flash that you can see right here actually attaches to the hot shoe and shares the same battery from the D Lux. Now, that could be a plus or it could be a negative. Now, in my opinion, I don't use that flash that often, and I much rather go with a solution aftermarket like this one right here from Reflex Lab or Godox, because these flashes have their own dedicated battery. And if I'm planning to do a lot of flash photography, I could always connect a cable to the flash and charge my battery on demand. So flash is actually useful not only for the night, but it's also very useful for the day, specifically when you want to compensate with the exposure of the background. I find myself using these tiny little flashes very, very often. All right, let's wrap up some conclusions. As you can see right now, both cameras are going to be very, very small. Of course, there's going to be an advantage of the most pocketable, and this one is going to be the Ricoh GR III or GR3X. It's going to be the smallest one, also the lightest one. Now, the Ricoh GR3X is also going to be the one that's going to give you the 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor. So this one out of the two is the one with a bigger sensor. Also, the snap focus functionality is only available on this camera. So if you're looking for that fast snapping focus, zone focus, you have it on the Ricoh GR3, GR3X, and the one with the ProMist filter that I always forget the name. Now, this one also is going to be the only one with sensor shift image stabilization. But like I mentioned before, the D Lux is not much bigger. It has optical image stabilization. It performs really well. In my opinion, the D Lux is built in a higher quality. It feels the moment you hold the camera. The navigation of the buttons, the menu, I much prefer the Lux8 experience, and the fact that I have 24 to 75 millimeters in such a little bit larger body, to me is the deal sealer. But this is going to be very personal. And another thing to remember, it is the one with an EVF. So if you're trying to get a camera, maybe this is your first camera, quality camera, I think the D Lux is going to be a better option because you are going to be able to frame even in super bright situations. It also comes with a flash. You don't have to buy a flash. It's a little bit more expensive, of course, than the Ricoh, but I think that the flexibility of focal length in here is the main, it's the main difference among both cameras. Both systems are going to be incredible. And the Ricoh, in my opinion, produces the sharpest images. The lens that you have on all the Ricohs are outstanding. The lens on the Leica D Lux8 is also great, but it's not going to be as sharp, razor sharp, as it is the one here. To be honest with you, that is something that doesn't bother me so much. I put in this camera a ProMist filter to ease the sharpness a little bit more. But if you are looking to get the utmost sharpness out of a sensor and lens, the Ricoh GR3 is going to be the one. Now, there are a lot of pros and cons on both systems. You just got to choose whatever is going to be best for you. So this one is going to wrap it up for me. Two amazing cameras with similar features, but at the same time, very different. The option is going to be up to you guys. Now, if you want to check out any of these straps, I'll leave a link down below in the description. Code GShutters10 for 10% off on your first order. Go check them out. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.